I would say that that's one of the many fantastic benefits of journaling is for us to realize that we are, especially on a mental scale, universes. And it's just like you're right, and going with the flow and the structure and what's working for us at that moment or time or situation. Through journaling has helped me live my life from the inside out as opposed to a reaction to the outside world.
Hey everybody, welcome to Artist Decoded episode 118. This is your host Yoshino, and in this episode I get the opportunity to talk to author Mary L. McCarthy, founder of createrightnow.com, which is a company and website dedicated to helping people learn about the power of therapeutic journaling. She's also the author of Journaling Power: How to Create the Happy, Healthy Life You Want to Live. In 1998, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. She lost function in the right side of her body and started to look for holistic remedies to help counteract the symptoms of MS. After doing some research, she tried writing therapy. During this time, she had to learn how to write with her left hand, which was very difficult for her both mentally and emotionally. But she was dedicated at figuring out a method for her recovery. She then took up a practice, which we talk about in this episode, called morning pages. As she continued her therapeutic journaling practice, she saw drastic improvements in her health and recovered 70% of the functionality in the right side of her body. It was truly a pleasure to talk to her about her experiences with journaling. I think a lot of people can benefit with taking up a journaling practice, and I wanted to pick her brain about this particular topic. Before we begin the episode, I want to do a little shout out to our sponsors at Four Sigmatic. Recently, I've been really into their ground mushroom coffee mix with lion's mane and chaga. I've been drinking this every morning for my daily coffee fix, and I wouldn't support this brand if I didn't believe in them, and I think they're doing something very unique and important for people's health. Definitely look up the neurological benefits of intaking some of these different mushroom extracts like chaga and lion's mane when you get a moment. There are a lot of studies out there that give scientific evidence on how these mushrooms can drastically improve your health and cognitive functioning. Go to foursigmatic.com/artists-decoded for 15% off of your entire order at checkout. Also, please go to our iTunes page and leave us a review. It helps reviewers just like yourself to find out about this podcast. So here it is, episode number 118 with Mary L. McCarthy for Artist Decoded. Hope you enjoy. Thanks so much for coming on to Artist Decoded, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Of course. I guess maybe just to start out, can you tell us about your journey into journaling and why it's so important to you?
Certainly. It started about 20-some years ago as a physical therapy type of a situation. I was dealing with an MS situation where I'd lost feeling on the right side of my body. So I needed some physical therapy to teach me how to write with my left hand. And I connected, however, I guess the universe heard my pleas and needs with a young lady who introduced me to Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. And in The Artist's Way, she has a procedure, because I was at that point, my whole life had been very left brain, running my own consulting business, all that type of thing. So I needed a procedure to get working on this right away. And the morning pages routine, and I don't know, are you familiar with them? Have you ever done morning pages?
Yeah, actually, I recently started the morning pages routine. maybe it's I need to be more consistent with it, but I'm doing it mostly like every other day. And I've been finding a lot of benefits in terms of decluttering my brain and trying to figure out the structure of why I think a certain way, because I think it's interesting, like in this technological age, how, and I think it's a symptom of it, is because there's so much information that's getting thrown at you all the time that most people are inherently ADHD in a certain way, you know? So it's kind of like trying to like demask and declutter all of that information.
Definitely. I think, yeah, and you brought up a very good point. I think the key is a routine, and a routine that works for you, and it doesn't have to be every day at 10 o'clock. It sounds like what's going on, your routine, your practice, or whatever is working for you, and that's what's so exciting. I found about journaling. There's only one right way to journal, and that's
Yeah.
your way. So like some people want to do it on the train to work. Some people want to do it in a coffee shop. Some people want to do it at night or whatever. I think that's the key, is to find out what you feel like doing, and what works for you, and then doing it, but keeping to that commitment, that routine for yourself is what the key is. It's just like, it's not, and it's not, as it's not, whether it's one page or 500 pages or what. It's all about you and your style, and knowing who you are, and what your gut and your heart and soul is telling you. It's like, this makes sense for me. Like I said, right now, or I'm sort of in a thing that I do a page of morning pages before my meditation in the morning, and then I do a page of morning pages, which I call them night notes at night, which I dump all my data and stuff from the day, and get all and then express all my gratitudes for my wonderful experiences and learnings, and so again. But then there was a time I was doing morning pages, the 3 pages every morning, but doing it ambidextrous, one page with my left hand, one page with my right hand. So it's something that's is really exciting, that you can create for yourself based on who you are and what your needs are.
Yeah. And I think you can find a lot of fluidity and creativity within that practice of allowing yourself. I mean, you even talk about it in this book about the inner critic, and realizing that you have an inner critic that's judgmental. And that's also why I like the morning pages. I guess you would call it like a morning pages theory, that you can have that sort of unjudgmental mindset, and you just start writing from a stream of consciousness. So it doesn't have to be a perfect, it could be erratic in a way. But then through that process, then you can sift through the clutter.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's like, as you had said earlier, when we're talking about children, it's like, it's okay to be messy, chaotic, to be whoever you are, wherever you're at that moment. And it's just like, it's so freeing and so exciting to just be the true child that we always were. And it's just like, just let it go. Yeah. So then okay, then you go back. It's like, I want to go back and read it, or I want to do that, whatever. So it's like, just have that time that's totally freeing, totally about you, wherever you are. No judgments, no inner critics, no ego, none of the above. It's just like, let's just get there, do it, get to the page, and whatever you create is what you create.
Exactly. Was journaling an entry point for you for your creativity, since you were so focused on working with Fortune 1000 companies, and you were so heavily involved in that corporate world?
Oh, definitely. Yes. As I told someone the other day, that very early on in doing the morning pages, I tapped into hearing rhymes and writing poetry. I had never, ever written poetry in my life, other than memorizing the standard poems that the nuns in grade school made me memorize. That was my only. I had never, like I said, written poetry. So to answer your question, yes, that was probably the biggest thing And first thing I realized that, oh, wow, in addition to me being a highly successful businesswoman, there's some creativity in the bones of Mary McCarthy.
Yeah. But do you think that the sort of unrealization of that sort of untapped creativity that you were encountering in your business life was because you were telling yourself that, oh, I'm not a creative person, I'm a business person, or, something like that? I mean, that's, this is kind of going back to the idea of the inner critic.
Oh, definitely. And in the process of doing the morning pages and the journaling and getting into the whole, writing arena, I mean, that's how I realized I came across a book of a woman who talked about the art and craft of fiction writing. And that's how I was introduced to the whole thing of, I mean, I knew nothing about inner critics before. And it's just, then I ended up doing some work with her, and she told me, said, "My goodness, Mary, you have the Academy Award winning inner critic." And I would say, so to answer your question, definitely. And I take a look at it from a medical, physical point of view too, as well as the creative thing. It's just like I think because of all of the subconscious and internal things I was doing. I mean, I'm just really allowing the inner critic to run everywhere. I think that was the key. So I think it's more so than it's just journaling enabling me to get into my heart and soul and body and true self and realize all the gems of creativity and jewels that were there. But it involved having to process through all the other, as I call them, issues in my tissues. So again, getting it out of the way and just really realizing this, like, oh my goodness, I can see how by the way I had been treating myself or mistreating myself or overly critical, whatever, how that really, got my body to the point of saying, stop or do whatever. It was time to change. And I think that's what, again, it's enabled me because of the physical challenging. And then, I mean, how interesting that I would lose on the right male, business side of my body. I would lose all the universe was forcing me into using my left side, my creativity. It was like, woo.
Wow. Yeah, I also liked in this book where you're talking about, we're talking about these like physical manifestations that come about because of not really being able to handle stress or allowing stress to build up in a physical manner in your body. And you were talking about specifically thinking about an area of your body and how, and talking to it and allowing it to heal. For some reason, that particular thing clicked in my brain. And when I was going on a run the other day, I was having a little bit of pain in my knee. And then I was just kind of focusing on that area for a moment and saying, okay, wait, why am I having this pain? And just trying to understand it. But I never really thought about that before. I never really thought about honing in on an area and trying to heal it through thought.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that for that experience is new for all of us because we're so much focused on that. We're mind and body. We're based on our schooling, our upbringing, society has reinforced that you got to push things to all that left brain type of a thing. So we are, I would have to say, and that was one of the key things that, and that's why I will stay with journaling forever, is that it got me out of my head and it got me back into my body. And so I really love to me now, in addition to the other health changes and food changes I've made. I mean, that's why when I have a pain or a challenge or whatever. I mean, I get out the journal and I sit down and I, as if a mother were talking to a an upset child or whatever. And I think just really understanding that the key is paying attention, awareness, and having and it's okay to have a relationship with your body because that's part of who you are. So
Yeah.
it's just really revolutionary. And also the fact that once you start having the conversation, you go into places, and I'm sure that you've had with your experience, like what's going on, and it gets you really focusing on your heart and your gut and all the other brains that are in your body. We have more than just one brain that's on the top of our shoulders. It's just
Yeah.
there's just so much there. And just giving it space and just listening. It's just like you learn something more. It's just as opposed to all the like I say, we have so much clutter that we're dealing with. But it's like, what's going on here? Tell me, and going beyond just the pain or it hurts. I need to get a Tylenol or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
fascinating that we are just such magnificent, creative, talented processes.
I'm curious. So, what does a typical morning look like for you, or what does a typical day look like for you and your process with healing and with work? Because we need to stay equally balanced. I feel it's good to be able to understand how to juggle both.
The first thing is I use my business experience because I think it's very important to have for me to have routines and to have structure to my days. So what I do is, like I said, my morning is up early with the birds. Thank goodness for the time change now. And then doing right now my routine is doing a page of morning pages and then doing an hour meditation. And it's a somatic meditation, which is getting in touch and getting more in touch with more of the things that make me up. And then if and when after the meditation I feel like eating, I eat. If I don't feel like eating, I don't eat. And I think that's the important thing of my day is just always keeping track of myself. And it's
Mm.
like, I'm hungry or I'm not hungry or I'm thirsty. And then just scheduling out meetings with business resources and or clients and excuse me, but always building in my day time that I'm making sure that I'm checking in with myself. That if it's making a cup of tea or having a piece of chocolate or whatever, just
Mhm.
always being very much aware of staying connected to not lose track of myself because as we get so much into, especially with work or even in the creativity things, who knows where it is we go when we're creating and different things, but it's just like we always need to come back to center. So it's just like again, my days are pretty much intuitive. I make my sometimes make my to-do list or
Yeah.
rearrange my priorities. So a lot of it is a lot of positive mental working as far as, okay, what are my goals today? What do I want to get accomplished? Starting with me first and my health and taking care of myself and making sure that's built into the day. And then again, just staying committed to myself and not losing track of myself during the day and just, and always continually processing. No, that's not what I need to put my efforts. I need to put my focus and attention on such and such and all.
Yeah.
And really, it's really a question of managing yourself. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like my process and your process are very similar in terms of the scheduling and in terms of just structure, because I'm trying to change the aspect in my mind of the idea of time, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Because if you're always so strict with time, then you kind of aren't in the moment because you're thinking about the next moment. And I mean, in business, there's that sort of typical saying, time is money. right? So, which inherently means that I mean, I think it's good to value time. I don't think that you should just let yourself kind of not be completely unaware of time. But I also think that being present in the moment says something as well, which, you know, you can be present in the moment with meditation, but I think you can be present in the moment with anything. I mean, this conversation, as I'm very present and engaged in this particular conversation, so I don't know. I think what I'm trying to get at too is also allowing yourself to understand that there's a constant rediscovery and there's a sort of structure that works for you right now, but maybe a week from now you change up that structure and you want to do something else, but it doesn't necessarily detract from what you did before too.
Oh, definitely. And I would say that that's one of the many fantastic benefits of journaling is for us to realize that we are, especially on a mental scale, universes. And it's just like you're right. And going with the flow and the structure and what's working for us at that moment or time or situation. Through journaling has helped me live my life from the inside out as opposed to a reaction to the outside world.
Yeah, I think it's good to be able to own up and understand that, or to be able to take responsibility of your thoughts, because that's really all you're in control of is your actions and your thoughts. And there's all these outside forces that you can, categorize as clutter or distraction or what have you. But if you can at least take ownership of your thought, then it allows you to be able to flow and maneuver through all of life's uncertainties. And I was also thinking, so I'm a martial artist and I've been a martial artist for the past like 11 years. And through my martial arts, in the beginning, it's more of this. I was in my early 20s. I was 21 when I first started, and there's this sort of male hubris sort of thing, and it's very ego based. And I feel like it's partially because of just my immaturity, but also because of just the environment as well. So it's both, right? So I've recently come to the conclusion of this idea of being tough as nails, but being soft as feathers, and being both of those things, which is applicable to martial arts, but it's also applicable to life.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. And it allows you the fluidity, at least in my head, it allows the fluidity to maneuver all of life's uncertainties, and hopefully, I mean, as romantic as it sounds, but hopefully with grace and understanding and consciousness.
And I think that's excellent because I think that's the balance. I mean, I now experience it's like, yes, and I see now how all my business experience and my structure and that has really laid a fantastic foundation for my muses and my creativity and things like that. And that's what I have to say, I feel at this point really balanced. So I love what you said about was it say tough as nails, but soft as feathers. And that's it. And I own both of those. This is really exciting.
Yeah. I like to ask, how would people who have never journaled before, what would you suggest for them to do to start journaling?
Well, I guess the one of the things I'll put in a plug for my my website, createrightnow.com. And it introduces therapeutic journaling. It talks about what it is. There are stories of people that have used and swear by journaling. They also have the opportunity to download some free ebooks on how journaling can help them deal with the stress and strains of everyday life. So I say that's one avenue to explore, and so we have all kinds of resources available there. But as far as people who ask me how do I get started and what to do, I just borrow from my buddies at Nike, and you just do it. And basically, I find what has really worked well is that you get a notebook, you get a pen, and you write at the top of the page a question, a burning question that you have. How do I get started journaling, or how do I, whatever, or why am I such and such, or whatever, and then free write. I think because I was introduced to journaling through Julie Cameron's Morning Pages and the Stream of Consciousness. I'm a huge fan of stream of consciousness, free writing, and just writing really, really fast, because it drives the inner critic crazy when you're not only writing, but you're writing and writing and writing and creating and creating and creating.
Yeah, I also liked in your book how you were talking about journaling power prompts. And just, I have a couple written down here. I'll just say a couple of them. What is your greatest talent? What is the most unique thing about you? Who or what inspires you? What are the 3 character traits that describe you? And, sometimes it's good just to have somewhere to start. Going back to the inner critic and being judgmental of yourself, to be able to have a starting point, and then the nuance, you start discovering certain things like.
Definitely. And when you speak of journaling power prompts, on my website, I'm up to about 370 something that, are just might be a quote, might be something, or an exercise, or whatever, that if you plug into that, it's like, isn't that interesting? That, and can use that as a starting point. And like I said, I went back last week and just went through some of them once, and some of them are very, very funky type of things that you never would consider of for journaling prompts. So I normally put up at least once a month. I put up a new journaling prompt that's just sort of very interesting and funky, but it's just meant to get into the cockles of your soul, shall we say, and get you to the page, because, like you said, there's the inner critic and the I guess, as I like to say, we're all such experts in self-sabotage. So it's a lot of work to continue the excavating and digging and changing and clearing out the brush and all that type of stuff to get down to the thing. And it's really hard, because we have, and with behavior, it's just like we've been in a certain behavior mode that we've been kicking the crap out of ourselves for so long. It's all of a sudden, it's really challenging to change, and just and fear and overwhelm and all these intangible objects have been inner critics and voices from who knows where that just have been driving us. We have allowed to drive us crazy, but now we understand that we have the power to say, nope, I'm not going there. So.
Yeah. And it's very important to have reaffirmations of positive thinking in your life, because, and I guess that's where it goes back to the taking ownership of the thought as well. At least for me, that's just the way I process things. But having positive thoughts and the way you talk about certain things to other people and talk about yourself to other people has resounding effects on the way that you actually view yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the my favorite quotes I came up with based on Wayne Dyer. My favorite quote is, when I change the way I look at me, the me I look at changes. So it's just, like I said, it gets into what you're saying about catch ourselves. Oh my gosh, I just automatically blurt out, oh, I can't do this, or that kind of. So when you take the time with yourself and you really start from an observer, reporter point of view, taking a look at, oh, isn't that interesting how I just automatically do that? So you start gaining back your more and more and more of control over yourself and your life, and of responsibility of just saying, I'm responsible for my thoughts, but it's just like, okay, first I got to realize what they are and what I've been doing to myself so that I can change it. But you're absolutely right. And I just, for the longest time, this whole discussion about gratitude and positivity, but I am completely in agreement with you. It's just like, if how you look at things, and especially how you look at yourself, it really determines. You may not be able to change a situation, but it's just like you have so many
Yeah.
more tools and power to manage and respond to a situation.
Yeah.
And like I said, and thoughts are just so unbelievably powerful. But the great news is we manage our thoughts. It's our responsibility to choose what we want to think about ourselves. And I'm sure as you've experienced and I've experienced it, a more affirmative, positive
Hmm.
of myself, and that it's just like okay, and realistic about oh yeah, I have the pain. I need to focus on what's going on here or whatever, or I need to do a page of journaling and just dump things out and get
Hmm.
things cleared out so I can focus back on what I need to focus on.
Yeah, there's something very tactile and palpable of being able to physically write on a page, and it's another physical manifestation of taking ownership
Mm-hmm.
of those thoughts, I think, because when you see yourself writing it out, like there is a difference between journaling on your computer and then journaling on a physical page, because it's not as easy to erase, the thought. And that's why I really like that idea of the stream of consciousness when you're writing, because you're
Definitely.
sifting and you're more intentional, I feel like, or at least I'm more intentional of what I'm trying to write there.
And then, yeah, and that goes back to what I was saying too about
Mhm.
this whole thing about questions. I just find that I sit down, I ask a question, and then I'm having a conversation. And that's really on so many levels helping me. Again, there's this whole tactile thing about the process, and people say, "Oh my gosh, that's really really scary." I said, but the thing is, if you really want to understand who you are, manage your thought, all that type of thing, you need to get into the cellular level of your being, and you get that by putting the pen to the page.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate you taking this time, and it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Well, thank you. I've really enjoyed it. I'm really glad that you're back in the saddle or back on the wagon or whatever it is that you're doing your journaling, because it's just really so exciting and to be able to talk with a like-minded individual. So it's just I'm so excited to be able to have the opportunity. So thank you so much for asking me to be on your program. It's just been exciting. So as I always tell everybody, just right on.
I love that.
Well, it's great. Like I said, congratulations for being back with the program, and it's just been a fantastic opportunity. And I've loved listening to you because it's like, yeah, he gets it, he gets it.
Trying to get it, trying to sift through things. I feel like the more mature and older I get, the more understanding and empathetic I become to other people, but also for myself.
Yes,
And I think journaling is a really good entry point for people because it's so easy to do. You can just pick up a notebook and start writing, or even just like loose pieces of paper and just start writing. But yeah, and then through that entry point, there's all these subtle nuances that you start discovering about yourself and the way you write. And I think it's a very powerful tool.
oh yes, and as I tell my clients, I that who we think we are and who we truly are is what we will discover when we journal. It's like because we've just been going around with so many, like you say, erroneous thoughts, misconceptions, whatever about ourselves, and once we process and have a mechanism to process all that and really say, oh, yeah, that's who I am. That's what it's all about, or whatever. And it's all available here and now with a pen and a piece of paper.
Agreed. I love it. Thank you so much.